Good day, everyone. I am Caltris Aligaray, and my task is to report the fourth part of the Unit 3 Instructional Strategies in Teaching Visual Arts under Contextualization, Adaptation, and Classroom Management. So, we'll talk about the differentiation and modification in arts. So, let's proceed to the learning outcomes. So the learning outcomes are first, modify activities based on the available resources and themes relevant to the student. Second, identify adaptive tools and activities for inclusion. And last, analyze strategies that can be helpful in managing the art room. Differentiation in art means providing the individual needs of the students in art class so that they all make progress. Art teachers are not only creative in coming up with art lessons, but in differentiating their activities as well. Tasks and expectations can be modified into level 1, level 2, level 3 according to difficulty. The differentiated approach to teaching is usually practiced in mixed level classes and inclusive classes when there are students with special needs. So, for example, is the following lesson on watercolor beach painting. So, on level 1, which is on top, uses oil pastels to outline and create a barrier between the colors. So this requires less controls and prevents um, the paint from smudging and going outside the lines. So the next level is the bottom. So it uses only a pencil for outline. So this requires more control in order to make precise lines. Other adaptations includes taping the paper on board so it won't move and map. So using visual cards is also helpful in reminding students about the techniques used in watercolor painting. So level 1 is very simple and shape for the head, followed by level 2 which has more curves, and the last one is the level 3 which in teaching how to draw the human. So the human figure. So it is better to start with concrete shapes first before drawing abstract forms. So for level 1, um, start are used which students trace the the shape, and for level 2 students can copy the context shapes side by side as they draw, so they can change the movement by changing the shapes, and this also helps them visualize the proper size and proportion. So in level 3, the students can draw independently and from memory with minimal guidance from the teacher. In this way, all students can comply with the competency drawing the human figure but using different approaches and support. And also, in addition to level 3, which is an anime like illustration, so responding to the different students' learning styles and needs is called differentiation. So different students will need different levels of support throughout the lesson. Being aware of this and offering the right level of support is differentiation. So you can make more ambitious suggestions to your uh, to to you. More able students push them to succeed. So this might be telling them or telling your students to add much higher level of detail within drawing. So this might be encouraging them to make ambitious amateur for sculpture, and you may know them well enough to to know that they have the resilience to do something again to a higher standard or take a piece of work further. So therefore, less able students will require additional one-on-one assistance. So breaking down work into smaller, more manageable parts is often necessary for them and can be done verbally. And this is a distinction. Less capable students may be thinking to themselves, I can't do this, I can't do that. So, differentiation involves approaching them and showing them how to do something again, or showing them how um, how to do first, or how to do which tiny parts do first. So, their accomplishment could be as simple as um, completing a task. So, in teaching how to draw the human figure, it is better to start with concrete shapes first before drawing abstract for the next level, or level 1. So, in level 2, students can copy the cut out shapes side by side as they draw, and they can change the movement by changing as well the shapes. So this also helps them visualize the proper size and proportion, as like what I've said earlier. So there are other helpful strategies in managing the classroom. So let's move forward to the time management. So time management is an art production um, which is very time consuming. So it takes time to set up and to clean up. Sometimes, when you are in the time zone, or when they are engaged, your kids even lost track of time. So it is important that you choose an activity that can be um, realistically done in the given amount of time. Break down long process into several sessions so that students won't rush. So it is important to announce the allotted time of the beginning of the class and give reminders every 15 minutes, and the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and 5 minutes. Furthermore, time management for artists can be difficult after all. How much time should you spend on your art to get the results you want? The truth is, it really depends on the goals you have, or where you want to go with your art, and how much time you actually have to work with your art. So many art students that struggle with managing the time it takes to effectively complete their projects. Personal pleasures are a good way to maintain the mental health and motivation. So, when you're working through stressful objectives, but when you are aware of how much time is spent on less important tasks, you can begin to make choices that reflect your real priorities, and will eliminate wasted time that doesn't affect or doesn't connect to your goals. So it is very critical to find ways to minimize distractions while your journey to your destination. Sometimes is it is simply a matter of making more conscientious decisions about time distribution of your priorities in time you have available, or available time. So time management is very important thing a teacher can have. It helps prioritize work after having list of daily tasks down. So if you notice that a student is working slower than the rest, so it is best to point out what other parts are taking so long. So for example, a student takes a long time to perfect the drawing of the shape of the face. So it's your um, work, or it's your responsibility to, as a teacher, to motivate your students. So here are tips to motivate your students while he or she is working. So first is to tell him that it's okay if it's not perfect. Help him find way to make it perfect. For example, using a compass or tracing a plate. So it can help him make or make an effective or creative work. So the last one is it is really taking so long. If it is really taking so long, so as a teacher you can observe that and you can do it for him, but only for that specific part, so that your student will proceed and will finish his or her work. So as a teacher, um, as soon as possible, let the students realize that perfection is not the goal of making an artwork, but it is a completion with satisfactory outcome. Also, tell your students that creativity is a process, not a talent that a person can or cannot have. So that's all about my report of the differentiation and modification as well as the time management. So it will the next part will discuss by Miss Jerusalem. So thank you for listening and God bless.